Hi, welcome to the PhD Journey Unplugged podcast, where we explore the intersection of health, human performance, and the strength for the journey within. My name is Dr. Sarah Gordon, and I'm the host of the show. As you can tell, I'm not by myself today. I am joined with my guest, Kyla Lupo,
No.
and she is joining us from a fun environment, one of my favorite
Yes.
places to be, a coffee shop.
Yes.
I know it's busy for you today, and I appreciate you finding a spot, to talk to us. So thank you.
Absolutely. I wouldn't miss it for the world.
And you're in Florida, right?
I live in Florida. I'm currently in California, but I live in Florida.
Oh, how's the weather there today?
It's gorgeous. It's been super hot the past couple days, but today it's kind of crisp and cool in the high
Oh,
70s and the sun is shining. It's nice. It's a beautiful day.
and you're sitting at a coffee shop. Oh my gosh, you're living the
Hmm.
life today. Well, thank
Living the
you.
life.
Well, thank you for joining us sometime on the podcast. And I'm just going to introduce you, tell our listeners a little bit about your background. So you founded a platform called Go Big Triathlon Coaching and Team Go Big. And we're going to talk about that today on this episode about the philosophy behind it, how you found it, how you found your way to that, and the people that you're coaching, and just the whole everything about it. I just love that philosophy. And so I really wanted to have you on the show to bring a different perspective to a conversation on health and human performance. So I know that you're a USA Triathlon certified coach, a swim coach, an experienced multi-sport athlete yourself. You've probably done more than this at this point, 70 races across the endurance landscape, so it's hard to count them after a while.
Yeah. I
And
count them by the medals on the wall.
and I love this statement that you're creating a space where athletes of all body types feel welcomed, feel supported, and empowered to begin their journey. And isn't that just where it starts? When we talk about any journey and this my academic journey, the PhD journey, the title of this
Mm-hmm.
podcast, there are a lot of parallels to the academic journey. That's why I bridge often a lot of the conversations between academic and athletics. Because it's, about
Yeah.
overcoming obstacles and taking that first step on that journey. So, welcome to the show.
Hi.
And I'm gonna ask you some questions. I'm gonna let you kind of just share your wisdoms with us. And I have this one other uh, statement that I want to read because I think it helps frame this conversation today. The courage to step into spaces where we may not see ourselves reflected. The courage to challenge long-held assumptions about who gets to call themselves an athlete. And perhaps most importantly, the courage to show up exactly as we are. And I love that. I think it's such a beautiful statement, about our
Yeah.
individuality, about everybody's journey. It's such a personal journey, even
Hmm.
though, you train amongst friends within a community. So, so yeah. So just tell us a little bit about who Kyla is and how you found yourself to triathlon and how you found, your platform.
Oh my goodness. That's such a great story to
And
tell.
take your
Let's
time.
see if I can I was gonna say, let's see if I can like squish it into like
No,
just a few minutes. But
we have plenty of
uh
time.
way back in 2014 or 2015, I decided that I wanted to start running. And I started running. And it wasn't horrible. I was really happy about it. I had always thought running would just be awful, but it wasn't. And I did in 2015. I did 12 races in 12 months. So I did a race every month,
Wow.
and I wanted to become a better runner. So I went back to the pool. I've been a lifelong swimmer ever since I was tiny, and so I went back to the pool. And then I was like, you know what? I used to bicycle a lot. I bet with like better fitness, bicycling would be more fun. And so then I did that. And then I was like, well, I want to be better and da 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 da. And I stumbled my way into the triathlon community because when you put those three sports together, it becomes one bigger sport. And then you can compete at it and like try to get good. And I really love a good competition. So it sort of worked itself out. Um, I finished my very first triathlon in June of 2016. And from that moment, I just knew that this is what my life was made for doing this and getting other people to do this, like helping them, supporting them to get to that same finish line. Because I feel that every person deserves to have that feeling of finishing a really big challenge, of doing something that they didn't think that they could do.
Mhm.
So then I thought, okay, well, if it really is everybody, then I need to find some more people because there is a lot of men and they are mostly skinny and they are almost exclusively white. So, like, we've got to figure out something. So I started my team as a way to encourage every body to be part of the triathlon community. And we've been doing that now for, goodness, almost 10 years.
Wow.
And every I I want to say that like every day is new and exciting. That's not necessarily true, but every month is new and exciting. There's always something new to learn or something new to research or something new to do. And I've done a lot of different jobs in my life. I've ran my own businesses and all sorts of stuff. This is the one that I've stuck the longest with. And I think that's because this is like literally my true calling in this life is to advocate for this radical level of inclusivity, not just in sport, but in the world. Because if we're
Hmm.
just advocating for sport, like what happens when we're at the grocery store, what happens when we're at school or at our jobs. And so I realized that like I had a platform that I could use and it does bleed over into other parts of the world. And I'm happy that it does. So, yeah, that's like, there you go.
Well,
The
do
short and
you
sweet of it.
do you and that's incredible. I have so many questions just from that.
Mhm.
Do you find when people come to you
Mhm.
and they say, I want to go on this journey with you, do you find that they, through the confidence building, like their identity changes or I mean, how does that, somebody comes to you, they've
Mm,
never taken that first step. What does that
right.
look like for somebody?
Oh, that's such a good question.
Because I think
You
it
know, I've
must be so
seen,
empowering.
yeah, I've seen so many of my athletes change over the course of doing their first triathlon, doing their first half or their first 70.3, finishing an Ironman, finishing a swim around Key West, right? I've seen so many of them change watching my athletes finish a big thing, whether it's their first triathlon or a 70.3 or a big 140.6 or a swim around Key West or just, that first century bike ride. It's like they become different, but in a really great way. It's almost like they become complete. They are their full selves and they're
Mm.
able to fully be present in the world, in themselves. When one of my athletes finished her first 140.6, she said, I will never be afraid to try anything ever again.
Wow.
And I was like, wow.
That's
Like
so cool.
it's just because it's like the hardest thing she had done. And now she can't imagine anything being any harder than finishing that. Like, so I'm never going to doubt myself again. I'm never going to be scared to try anything again. And, so it's this like magic that happens that gets released when people finish that challenge and watching them change, it's kind of indescribable, like, because it happens very slowly. And then all of a sudden you're like, oh, well, let's look at what they were in September. And now they're in June and they're definitely different, right? But it's hard to describe it in between because it happens so slowly through a thousand different choices. Yeah.
That's no wonder you love your work because
Oh
you're
God,
you're
yes.
changing lives.
Yeah.
You're changing lives through sport and through everything that comes with that.
Yeah. Yeah.
I said like with my PhD journey, we climb these mountains, right?
Mhm.
Academic and athletic mountains. And when you get over them, they change you. You're not the same person anymore. And when you get a little
Yeah.
distance from it and you look back on it, you could never go back, like you're saying. I'm kind of saying just in a different way. You never can go back to that person before because you gain
Yes.
so much insight and so much knowledge and wisdom. And I tend to think like in the hard that you choose to keep yourself in, you learn a lot of resiliency and just a lot about yourself.
Yeah.
Putting yourself on that journey that helping athletes through like a half Ironman or an Ironman journey or a swim, a long distance swim is a hard that somebody's putting themselves in. They're taking that action and
Yeah.
so it's very cool. The tough ones are the hards that we end up in that we don't choose. But
Right.
even so, you learn a lot about yourself, and I tend to think physical activity is a great outlet for all of that. So,
Yes.
you know,
And I think that when we put ourselves in the hards that we choose,
hmm.
we develop the skills to be able to handle the hards that we don't
Oh,
choose.
that's such a great statement. Yes,
Yeah, definitely.
I
We
like
were
that.
um we were just talking about resilience last week at our team meeting, and how do we sort of build that resilience? How do we train it and make it so that we can use it like when we're at a hard point in a race and things like that. And so it's really cool. So my mom was sort of listening in. She was on the other side of the table. And we finished the meeting and closed our and she was, well, Kyla, you're not just teaching them how to build resilience in a race. You're teaching them how to build resilience in their lives. And I was like, "Ooh, yes, because everything that we learn from doing hard stuff can be used in other hard stuff."
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's so true. And back to the kind of the theme of our conversation today, and I'm curious, like when we talk about identity and just what does that look like? What does the athlete look like? Who are we to like even say what that looks like, right? Because you're talking about
Right.
inclusivity.
Right.
Um, How do you help people show up? I mean, do you read, I mean, how do you plant a seed? Like, do you meet somebody and hey, I think you should try this, or do people come to you because they have a curiosity about it? Because there's a lot of unknowns in that space and fear, I would imagine, to show up,
Hmm.
to
Hmm.
take that first step.
Right.
Where does that start? For anybody
You
who's
have the
listening to this right now, like how do
you
you
have
encourage
the
somebody?
best questions. I mean,
I
just
do.
the best
They're
questions.
not even on, wait, you know what's funny? They're not even anything I prepared yet. It's okay.
That's awesome, though.
Oh, thank you.
So, I feel like there's two ways that people meet me.
Okay.
One is someone said something about someone somewhere, and my name came up, and now they really want to do a triathlon to challenge themselves, and so that's why they're there, right? Which
Okay.
is, people sort of opting into it. And then there's the people that like I go to 5Ks and I go to races that aren't triathlons. And I set up my tent and my table and my free donuts and some like postcards and some stickers and things like that. And I just sort of like to say hi to people. And inevitably people stop in and I'm like, yeah, have you ever thought about doing a triathlon? Because you just ran a 5K and that's the hardest part. They're like, oh, no, I never really thought of it before. I'm like, you should really think about it because triathlon changed my life and it might change yours too. And so, like, either people find out about me from, someone saying something somewhere, or they find out because I harassed them at a race.
And do you find that most people once they take walk that journey with you and they gain more confidence, they stick with it? Do they find
Yes.
enjoyment in
So
it?
So this is what's really interesting. I love working with beginners. Love, love, love working with beginners. And so I end up with a lot of beginners that I work with, right?
Okay.
And then they stay because they love the community, they
Mm.
love the people, they love the reinforcing of the positive messages. They themselves want to become advocates for body inclusivity, but aren't quite sure how or what to do. And so I end up like, I always thought I would have sort of a rotating door, right? With people coming in and leaving, coming in and leaving, but people just keep coming in,
Just stay.
staying.
Sense of
And
community.
so I've had to learn like, oh, how do I coach long course? Because now someone did a this and now they want to do a 140.6. So I went to like a special class where I learned how to coach super long distance. And I became a swim coach because someone wanted to swim a really long distance. And I was like, well, I'm gonna go get that certification. Like, so it's very interesting. I always thought it would be a rotating door, and it's not. It's just a one-way in and then
Huh.
they
That
stay.
is
And it's
interesting.
lovely. I love it.
That
Because
is
then
it.
we have a lot of wisdom that gets passed down. So we have a like a Facebook Messenger chat, and someone will pop in and be like, "Okay, so what's the best saddle? Like, what's the best this? Or does anyone know a good sports bra or whatever?" And everyone jumps in and says, "This is what I found. Don't buy this. Don't buy." And so I don't even have to necessarily do my job because everyone on the team is jumping in and helping everyone else.
You built a sense of community.
Yeah.
That's amazing. I love that. So positive, so much positive energy there. I'm
Yeah.
curious, have you been to have you presented at like the Endurance Exchange or have you been part of
Mm.
USAT in terms of education, in terms of body inclusivity?
So I went to my first in-person endurance exchange this
Hmm.
past January because it was in Orlando, and I was like, it'd be stupid to not go. It's right there. And I was really impressed at the different kinds of presentations that were there, right? And then someone was presenting on inclusivity, and I was like, this is amazing. I'm going to go to theirs. I'm going to learn so much. It's going to be great. And their whole presentation was just how to get beginners to join the sport.
Okay.
It
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 wasn't
it didn't have
really.
anything to do with inclusivity or talking about like some of the hot button items right now, like trans athletes and women in sports and things like that.
Mhm.
And and I was like, I remember I wrote down I wrote down in my notebook, didn't present on the topic, no notes. And I was like, I could have given this presentation and it would have been like 10 times better. Like, and that's the thing. I did learn a few things about like how to get, more beginners in. That was great. But that's not why I went to that presentation.
Right.
So now I'm like, I need to get my things together and I need to present at
You need to
Endurance
give that,
Exchange. There
yes.
needs to be that voice there saying and promoting this radical inclusivity. Like we have this opportunity as coaches to stand up and stand out and say what's right and what's wrong. And if we don't take that opportunity, if we sit by the wayside, like all it takes for evil to flourish is good people to do nothing,
Right.
right? Like I totally butchered that quote, but
No, no,
uh,
no, but um, can you define what radical inclusivity is in your perspective?
for me, radical inclusivity is literally everybody, anybody is welcome. Doesn't
Okay.
matter the color of your skin, the person that you're married to, the gender you identify with. Um, every single person is welcome in my community, and I will fight for you to be at the start line with me because I like it's like my passion. Like that's probably my true life's work is not triathlon, but like this like we ride at dawn kind of inclusivity uh, fervor that's
Yeah.
like and I've been there for people who were not they weren't being excluded from the race, but they certainly weren't being treated correctly. And they came and found me, and it wasn't even someone on my team. It was just someone who had heard that I was a person that would go to bat for people. And um and I went to bat for them, and I was like, look, here's the rules right here. This is what it says that you're supposed to do for this athlete. So why aren't we making that happen? And
Wow.
it was sort of saved their race day because someone was there to radically advocate for them. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I was going to ask you, like, do you feel that there's a sense of discriminate without like going after, I don't want to go after like any organization or, but I
Mm-hmm,
mean, just
hmm.
in general, like, or politics with it. But I mean, I just think, is there a sentiment out there that it doesn't feel inclusive at times?
Mm. So it's so funny because everything is political now.
Yeah.
Like each party has decided, one party more than the other, that everything needs to be like legislated and controlled and like all that stuff. And so like everything now is political. And when we start
Interesting.
talking about the biggest level of exclusivity that I see happening is with trans athletes, specifically with female trans athletes, and them being told where they can race, who they can race against, whether they can race at all, and not honoring them as they are, which is women. And so we sort of expand that a little bit out into like the regular world, and we see that people are trying to erase trans people. They're less than 1% of the population, and there's millions of dollars being spent on eradicating them, erasing them.
Wow.
It's a felony in Iowa for you to not use the bathroom of your gender assigned at birth. A felony.
Wow.
Like, I don't need men in my women's bathroom. They're men. Like, and it's just, yeah. I sorry, I get really passionate
No,
about it.
no, but
But
that's but this is your platform, and this is why I want to have you on the show because I think it's important when you talk about inclusivity that, when we talk about
yes.
sport, okay, when we talk about like let's just say the Olympics. The
Mm,
Olympics was always a space for athletes to come from countries across the world and leave the
yes.
politics behind, so to speak, and
Yes.
play sport, right?
Yeah.
So, it should just inclusivity means that somebody wants to start an athletic journey
Hmm.
or some journey of growth, right?
Hmm.
This show is always about a growth mindset. People I have on the show understand it. What you're doing is helping people grow,
Yeah.
and they should be allowed to walk that journey. And
Yeah.
sport has always been a
Absolutely.
safe space to do that, but what you're starting to
Mm,
share is that, you're pushing for it in a little bit more
hmm.
broader sense,
Yeah, absolutely.
you
And
know?
I think when we go and talk to athletes, like
Hmm.
actual athletes, that it really affects the cis athletes that are out there. Cis being born into the gender that you are, and then also expressing that same gender. So I'm a cis female, born a female, living as a female.
Okay.
Just in case people don't know what cis means.
Yeah, I didn't. I actually didn't know. So thank
Oh,
you.
there you go. There you
Yeah,
go. The
I
more
didn't
you
know.
know. So
The
when
more
we
you
talk to cis
grow,
athletes,
the more you know, the more you
they're
grow.
like, we don't care. Like, we don't care who's in our locker room. We don't care who we're sharing space with. The majority of athletes out there just want to play sport, and they want to play sport with other people who are passionate about playing sports.
Hmm.
So when we start,
It's a
when
strong
people
statement.
who aren't athletes, right, are injecting themselves into these conversations, they're not in the locker rooms. They don't see the friendships that build and like all this other stuff. Um, so they're like injecting themselves in, making it political when it's not. It's about human rights. Like it really it demeans all the athletes. And when we start talking about female athletes, then we run into the problem that when a girl or a woman is too good, people start to suspect, oh, she's trans. She has to be trans.
Wow.
And when we start having things like genital checks on high school girls, because we want to make sure that there aren't any trans people playing, like playing women's sports, like who does that actually hurt?
Is that,
That's right.
are they
It
actually
hurts.
doing that?
So there's a law in Florida that says that you can do that. No one has
Wow.
actually like done it, but
But it's
if you suspect that someone on your team is trans, like if there's a girl on your team that's trans, you are allowed to check their genitals. Not a doctor, not a parent, not a coach. And it's I get sick talking. Like I don't like talking about it because it just makes me want to throw up. But but that's who we're hurting when we make all these laws against trans people is women and girls. Because ultimately it's just about the patriarchy reasserting their dominance over women, which is just like what keeps happening over and over and over and over again. And now I'm on a little soapbox.
no, but when you were talking about like the locker room and people, the athletes just want to be athletes, it reminded me of
Mm.
I wrote a story about what it was like when in Triathlete magazine and what triathlon was like in the 80s. And it
Oh
was a
yeah,
free
that
for
was
all.
such a great
Transition,
story.
there weren't even locker. I mean, it was just a free for
Yeah,
all. People just showed up, raced, threw the clothes off, changed their clothes, and went on, through the transition. It just was a less, I guess there weren't so many rules back then, and people were just
regulated. It
showing
was a
up and
less
having fun.
regulated time.
Yeah, just having fun and just being out there for the sport.
Yes.
I think that's the theme for what you and I are talking about is that how do we make it about sport and not make it so political and just make it
Mhm.
so people don't feel fear and don't feel discouraged and feel included,
Mhm.
So
Absolutely.
how do you, from a coaching perspective, how do you help somebody move from like I'm trying this to I'm a triathlete? Like actually, it's so interesting because your name has come up now on two past podcast episodes. People really love what you're doing, right? On episode
Really
50, Sky Johnson was saying how wonderful you are. And
love
then,
her.
yeah, she was episode 50. She's down in Florida, Try with Sky. And then this past episode, your name didn't come out specifically, but we started talking about inclusivity and identity and showing up
Mm.
in the sport, having athletes who come in as not even comfortable saying I'm an athlete, and then
Yeah.
going from I'm you know a great athlete to I am a triathlete. And I said, wow, that's my next podcast that's my next topic with Kyla
Oh
Lupo.
wow.
So I said that on the last podcast episode. So your
Nice.
work is deeply meaningful, it's timely,
Mm.
and you're definitely
Mm.
getting recognized for it. So
Mm.
congratulations on that.
Thank
And
you.
so how do you
Oh.
help? You're welcome. So how do you help people get to that point where they feel what one coach said he has
Oh.
somebody look in the mirror and say, but what strategies?
Right.
And even though we're talking about sport, listen, I know imposter syndrome from my academic journey, right?
Yeah.
Even now, like you said something, hi, Dr. Gordon. I'm like, well, who is that? So
Right.
how do you help people get to that point?
Oh, this is another just really great question, right? Is how do you get someone to believe something and say
Yeah,
something that they might not necessarily believe or see in
exactly.
themselves,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
And so I had an athlete just recently. She hasn't done a triathlon in like 3 years. She's been really focusing on swimming and strength training and like repairing. She had a hip tear, so doing all that stuff. And she said, well, I'm not a triathlete or anything, but this is what happened to me when XYZ. And I was like, no, stop. You are a triathlete. Like you do a triathlon, you're a triathlete. You do a swim event, you're a swimmer. You do anything like that, and you're an athlete. And so that's sort of one of the things is catching people in that moment of misspeaking and correcting them and lifting them up. It's like, hey, no, you are a triathlete and don't ever forget it. You worked hard for that finish line. So, like, be proud of that. So catching people in the moment is probably my like number one strategy. And then we sort of, we'll do a few different we meet every week on Zoom and we do like learning opportunities and things like so like I said, we were doing resilience last week. We do things like resilience and identity and things of that nature. And so we'll have a session that's all about like uh, embracing, embracing your inner athlete. Now, see, that would be a great thing. But it's that reinforcement. And then what's great is that someone will say something in like our group chat, and the whole team will be like, no, no, that's wrong. You are an athlete. You deserve to be there. You belong in that space. You're allowed to exist there. Like you are a triathlete. And so I think building that community that then supports and reinforces, and then catching things in the moment. I think those are like the most important things. And then I always refer to them as athletes or triathletes or swimmers or like whatever it is. I always refer to my team as athletes. So they're not clients or, like whatever. They're athletes. They're my
Exactly.
athletes. They're my team. Yeah.
So that's so interesting. I'm just thinking, like, do we carry these misperceptions of ourselves into our adult? Because there are people that are
Mm-hmm.
athletic as adults and they've been athletic their whole lives. So are these do you think these are people who maybe weren't in environments that it was encouraged, maybe had bad experiences? I can never say that word. Maybe you know, just beliefs that we carry into adulthood, and then somebody like you comes along and and
Mm.
helps you learn, a new way of seeing yourself and in your life and gain confidence. Like why
Mhm.
do you think we're like that? Because I think I'm even like that. Like
Oh,
I struggle with
that's
it
a
too,
that's
right?
that's such a juice. Like you could do a whole podcast
I
on
know, but
just that.
what do you think? What do you think we're doing? We're just carrying stuff into our
I
adulthood.
I think we are. I think we're carrying stuff that we don't need to carry anymore. I think we're very good at carrying stuff that we should just put down and let go, right?
Wow.
So we're like extraordinarily good at that. And society is really good at reinforcing us carrying all of that. And
Okay.
social media is like mwah, perfect at that because all we see all these people who are athletes and they're doing these big things and they're running like 15-minute 5Ks and like they swim 6,000 yards 5 times a week and they cycled over the Rockies and you think, well, I'm not doing that. They're an athlete. I can't be an athlete because I'm not doing that. Right. So I think it gets reinforced by a lot of different stuff that's out there, other people, social media, society in general, and we end up just carrying all these beliefs. And if we've carried them our whole life, it's really hard to put them down. It's really hard, but it's very important that we lace them on the ground and walk away from them.
Hmm.
That's no longer who we are.
I
Yeah,
like
it's
that.
no longer who we are.
I think we can help people find enjoyment in things. I think, the examples you just gave, the people who are at the top level athletically, you know, m- I would say, I would wonder if most are in it because they truly enjoy it, right? So they push themselves to that
Right.
really high level. So if we can message to people, go into these things because it's fun and it's enjoyable, put yourself in
Yes.
spaces where you're having fun. Um,
Right.
I think that you can start to let go of all those comparisons. Like I had that experience in my PhD journey. I was all
Yeah.
excited to go. I got in the first, I think it was like first or second class. And I was like, oh boy, there's some really good writers and smart people here. And
Yeah.
then you start, then the comparison sets in. And then I kind of had this shift in my thinking, like, well, you know what? You're here because you want to be here. And let it go.
Mm-hmm.
This is your journey.
Yes.
you know?
Yes.
And then you start to enjoy it.
Absolutely.
Then you can start to enjoy your journey and let all the comparisons go. So I think that we can
Yeah.
experience that too, you know, as far as athletically too,
Yeah.
you know?
We have a few little sayings on the team. The first is I'm not a professional. I don't, this isn't my job. We like to remember that. And then I race and train for fun. Like that's a big one. I race and train for fun. So the moment something isn't fun, and not like, wow, these hill repeats really suck.
Yeah,
But
there's
like,
hard. There's fun and hard. There's hard, even
yes.
in your
So
fun.
the moment that it's not fun at a level that's like not fun, uh my athletes will let me know and we pivot. We automatically pivot,
Yeah.
right? I had an athlete and we were doing tempo repeats, and which is like running faster and then running slower and then running faster and then running slower. And she was like, that workout sucked and I really hated it and it's not fun anymore. And I was like, okay, like not fun because it's hard or not fun because like literally it's not fun. She's like, it sucks the joy out of me. I'm like, cool, we're never doing that again. And I
You
figured
don't need
out
to
some
laugh
other
at that.
way.
I
Oh
don't need
yeah,
to.
no,
It's like
no,
it
it's fine.
literally
It's
sucks
like
the
we are
joy out of my
never
life.
doing that again. It's like the Taylor Swift song. We're never, ever, ever getting back together. And so I wrote her a workout that was a different way to get the same kind of thing done. And she loved that. And so now like the workout is named after her because of that. So I'm really, really big on we do this for fun. We race and train for fun. And if it's not fun, then we're gonna change tactics, right? We're gonna even so much as like change the race if that's what we need to do because you don't want that goal anymore, right? So we make a big point of sort of distinguishing ourselves from the pros and from the people who are running the 15-minute 5Ks, so that we're not constantly comparing ourselves to something that we're comparing apples and BMWs, you know? It's like it's not even apples and oranges. It's
Well,
apples and BMWs.
well,
So different from each other.
I'll tell you, I've had a guest on my show a while ago, and just trying to coordinate to have her back because I want to do like a check-in. See, she does incredible races all over the world, and she is a pro
Nice.
triathlete. And she said
Mhm.
exactly what you just said. She said, when I start getting bored and it's not fun, I have to look for new things to do to keep it fun, to
Mhm.
stay in it as a pro. Like she'll challenge herself
Yeah,
in different ways and come up with new things to do to
that's
to kind
awesome.
of balance it so you don't start to like lose that spark in it. So I thought that was really
Hmm.
interesting. I think you're making a really strong point. I think that's kind of how we go through life for a lot of different things. Um, and I think it's about pivoting because as a coach, helping your athletes, knowing when to pivot so they can,
Yeah,
continue to be successful. Reading the signs.
absolutely.
There's one thing like, and I was talking about this with Daryl Myrick on the last episode because he's a coach too,
Oh
and
yeah.
it's just like, how do you that push pull? Like, how do you know when to push
Mm,
and or pull back? We talked about in terms of
yeah,
like health, you know, with your health, but so
yeah,
that's where you guys come in. You guys
yeah,
help us know. Push through it, even
yeah,
though it doesn't feel good. No, I think if you're really suffering mentally, physically, and just really, then you need to be adaptable. Maybe change it up a bit.
exactly,
Yeah.
exactly.
Okay, so I didn't ask you any of my questions I had planned.
Oh no.
No, because I
Do you
just
want to pick one of them?
well, I just enjoy talking to you so much, and it just happened so kind of naturally. Let me just see.
Yeah.
I mean, I think the most important thing is how do we teach people to connect with them? I mean, there's so much pressure to look a certain way. I had trying to think now because I had so many conversations. I think it was with Dr. Abby Crew was talking about Pumping Iron 2 and about for females that it's an old movie and they were trying to figure out like how do we judge women? We want them to have muscle, but we want them to still look feminine. And there's always this pressure for female athletes. How do you just
Mhm.
What's your message to just say to people to just love yourself? Just love yourself. When you start to love yourself, you can have so much peace, you know? How
Yeah.
do you get there?
I think the
And it's
first
not just
step,
women. I would say men, men struggle with it too. So
yeah,
let's just,
it is very interesting. There is a lot of body grossness in the men's world as well. We just don't hear about it because men are taught to just tough it out kind of thing. But I've had a few men on my team, and they said what drew them in was the body inclusivity. The like everybody is welcome kind of thing. And they say, no one talks about it, but like men really struggle with that. And I was like, oh, that's really
that's
interesting.
interesting. Yeah.
Um, I think the step to loving yourself is accepting yourself. We talk a lot about like body positivity. It was like such the big word, BOPO, body positivity. And now there's this sort of movement for body neutrality. You don't
Mhm.
have to love your body. That can be really hard to do, right? But if you can accept your body as it is right now, that's that first step. And so, really getting people to sit with, like, these are the legs that I have, and this is the shoulders that I have, and this is the brain that I have, and this is the heart that I have. And I may not love them right now, but I am accepting them exactly as they are. And I think that's like the first step towards being able to fall in love with ourselves, which ultimately is the most powerful thing we can do for ourselves is to love ourselves. Absolutely.
Peace.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Peace. That's amazing. Um, I learned so much through my guests. I really do. It's amazing. These conversations. It's all about, we always talk about a growth mindset. And so, yeah, we have
Mhm.
a lot of pressure on ourselves, and a lot of pressures to be super thin. I mean, now we got, and I'm not judging them, right? Everybody's journey is different, but, we have
Mhm.
injections and pills and everything to push us. And I don't even know what that conversation looks like in terms of performance, if you have to adjust
Right.
performance and whatnot. But there is definitely a lot of pressures. So I love your platform, right? I mean, I do. And because I've struggled with those things throughout my life too. So it's
Yeah.
refreshing to find somebody like you out there in the work that you're doing. If somebody wants to find you, I know you're in California right now, and thank you for finding time to talk to us.
Oh, of
But
course. Of course.
when you get back to Florida, how can somebody find you if they want to
So
train with you?
you can find me regardless of where I am in the world. You can find me at gobig.life, not gobig.com, gobig.life.
Okay.
And on there is all about the team, all about our training camp, and a really easy way for you to just click a button and schedule 25 minutes, 30 minutes with me. And I encourage anyone who wants to chat about anything. You may already have a coach, but you're feeling stuck or like whatever, you want to get more involved in the advocacy movement and things like that. Just get on my calendar and let's talk. I love talking with people. I love meeting with people. And then, of course, if you haven't done a triathlon and you want to do a triathlon, go to my website and make an appointment, and I will convince you that you want to do a triathlon because I love it so much. So you can do that. You can find me on Instagram. I'm at Kyla Lupo Coach. And we're on Facebook, of course, too. I think if you go to like facebook.com/go big life, I think that's how you find us on Facebook. But we're everywhere, literally everywhere.
That's awesome. And do you coach people just in Florida area or can you coach virtually?
That's a great question. I actually coach almost exclusively virtually. And so I have people in from Southern California to Maine, and everywhere in between. And so it doesn't really matter where you are in the world. I'm happy to be your coach. I'm happy to welcome you into our community. And if there are people who are local, I live in Palm Bay, which is near Melbourne. If there are people that are local and you want someone to ride bikes with you, oh my gosh, yes, send me an email, send me a DM, and we'll go ride bikes together because that's the most fun right there.
That's
So yeah,
awesome. Just back to Sky, and if you haven't listened to that podcast episode, it's 50. She welcomed my 50th episode with me. I was so grateful for that.
yay.
She has 35 athletes that are showing up for the inaugural Ironman in Jacksonville, Florida.
Mhm.
So just to give her another little plug here, if you download
I'm
the
so
Ironman,
excited about that. By the
right?
way, I'm so excited for her and that and everything.
I
Ah,
know. And
yeah,
so if you do download the Ironman tracker and you put in try with Sky, TRI for triathlon, Sky, SKYE, you'll be able to follow her athletes. And I think
yeah,
it's incredible. All these athletes are showing up. I think she said early 20s to mid 60s
yeah,
who are going to show up at this
yeah.
inaugural event. So good
So
luck to all of
cool.
them. And
Oh yeah.
okay, so before we wrap up, I want to give you this opportunity to say whatever you would like to say to our listeners about our
Mm.
topic today and your philosophy and just however you want to reach people. This podcast is truly about educating people, about reminding people that you are enough, to never give up on your life, and to put things in your life that are positive so you can enjoy your life and have a good quality of life. So and that's why I have guests such as Kyla on the show. So go ahead and wrap it up for us.
You know, everything you just said is really perfect. Like you are enough and you are enough right now. Not in a couple days, not when you lose 20 pounds, not when you can fit into those pair of jeans, not when you finish a 5K. Like right now, you're already enough, right? And eat more donuts.
That's funny because
Yeah.
Daryl just said you have to listen to the last episode, everybody, because he was in law
It's on my
enforcement.
list. It's on my phone waiting.
You have to listen. It's hilarious because I don't plan these things, and I feel like my podcast is becoming a community. It's a its own
Love it.
way. Because he was in law
Yeah.
enforcement, he's like, and everybody ate donuts and don't eat donuts.
Oh, that's so funny. My
I
gosh.
think a
No,
donut.
we're all
If
about
you're
the donut.
craving a donut, have a donut.
Have a donut.
It's not the end
Have
of
a
the
maple
world. Don't have a
bacon. You know what
dozen
I
of
mean?
them.
Like, right? Well, I mean, if you really feel like so here we go. If
It's
you're going to
so
eat your
funny that you say
feelings,
that. I'm sorry. It's just
no, it's
as a
perfect. It's
host, it's like,
perfect. I always say if you're going to eat your feelings and understand what you're doing, that you're
Yes.
eating your feelings, right? And then move on from that because sometimes that's the only way you can get through life, right?
Yeah.
Is doing your thing. So we're all about donuts on Go Big. We always have free donuts at every race we go to. And again, it's encouraging that body acceptance and like that diet culture is stupid and like all that kind of stuff. So you are enough and eat more donuts.
So funny. I can't, you have to message me after you listen to the
I
episode.
will.
What are we at? We're at 53 at
Right.
50,
Here's episode
episode
52.
52. It's so interesting because
Yeah.
episode 50 to now, it really, I hear a lot of the same things, different angles, but it really is this stories of resilience. And it's incredible. Thank you so much for joining me today and sharing. And yeah, so I don't know what else to say. You made me too a little emotional, some of the things you were saying. So that's
Oh.
interesting. All right. Well, I do have some closing remarks. I guess I should stick to my script a little bit today. For all the preparation that goes in, just, you know. Um, all right. As we close today's conversation, we, Kyla and I, invite you to sit with one simple idea. The body you have today is not a barrier to movement, like you were just saying. It's the
Mm.
starting point of your journey. And I love that. And that's really what your
Mm.
platform is all about. Movement belongs to anyone willing to explore their capacity challenge their assumptions, and step forward with curiosity. And that's what you do when
Mm,
you are at those events. You plant seeds, and that's how growth starts through curiosity. The courage to show up,
mm,
the courage to show up, the courage to show up, whatever it is. If you are want to go back and get your PhD, you want to go back, you want to try a new just something, whatever it is that's on your heart, have the courage to show up. So, with that,
mm,
I thank you for being here today. And it's a great connection. And I look forward to continuing to talk. I would love to hear about how your education platform grows through the Endurance
mm,
Exchange. I think there's a real
mm.
gap there that you can fill
Yeah.
and with USAT. And so I look forward to seeing
Yeah.
that growth for you. And yeah, thank you everybody for joining us on the PhD Journey Unplugged podcast. Hang on one second, and just gonna sign off here. So, all right, everybody. Thank you. Bye bye.